I think it was about 4 years ago that at our church in Springfield, Christ Episcopal, we began to see some Haitians showing up. One, two, sometimes three. And over the next couple of years, Springfield, which is a city of about 45,000 people, attracted somewhere between 8 and 10,000 Haitians. They came to Springfield because of three factors. One is the availability of jobs. Between Springfield and Columbus, Ohio, the capital, the fast-growing city in Ohio, there have been a number of factory and warehouse jobs that have opened up that the employers were having trouble filling. So the second factor was the relatively low cost of housing and costs of living in Springfield compared to New York and Florida. And the third was a typical stem and branch migration system in which somebody moves and then their relatives come and then their friends come and then the word starts to spread that Springfield is a Haitian-friendly place to come. So this was the second wave of immigration to Springfield. It had been a very long time. The immigration waves in the United States have gone around the industrial Midwest in some cases. We began to see Central American, largely Mexican migrants showing up in much smaller numbers about 5 years ago. So the community was beginning to figure out how to accommodate people who were different, who spoke different languages, who needed assistance with translation in schools and in the community. But the influx of Haitians was a far larger phenomenon than you would expect to see to essentially change 20% of the population of a town in a relatively short period of time. Although there were some social services impacts and certainly some public schools impact of having so many people who spoke Haitian Creole or French and were just beginning to learn English. Very few teachers even knew French, much less Haitian Creole, nor did social services, nor did medical professionals, nor did hospital emergency rooms. The community began to accommodate this change in relatively good spirits. There began to be a small group of people who protested what they called the influx. They created a Facebook page called Stop the Influx. And they began to come to every week to Springfield City Council meetings and loudly protest and ask what was the Springfield City Council doing to rid Springfield of this invasion. The primary complaints were that the costs of the housing market had risen, which is no surprise. Supply and demand had set into place. This too was accommodated until one day a Haitian driver in early morning with sun shining in his eyes crossed over the center line. A school bus swerved to avoid him, went into the ditch, overturned, and a child was killed. This set the small group who were protesting the Haitians up into a new level of protest. they now had a rallying cry that the Haitians are dangerous. You know, they're killing our children, and somehow when this began to migrate into uh, social media more and more, and people from outside became involved. At some point, one of the protesters found a short video from Akron, in which is 3 hours from here, of a police interaction with a mentally ill African American lady, in which the police officers were suggesting that she was eating a dog. This was purported to be from Springfield and began to be viral in the social media. The MAGA community got wind of this, and then in October of 2024, it erupted into national consciousness as part of the presidential debate, in which candidate Donald Trump said they're eating the pets, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs in Springfield. Immediately, the local elected officials, the police department, even the governor said, this is not true. This is not happening in Springfield. There is no evidence whatsoever of any issues of this kind. But nevertheless, it became a meme that the world became aware of, and suddenly Springfield was on the world spotlight. Well, this created about 3 weeks of intense ugliness in Springfield. There were bomb threats being called in to city offices, county offices, the public schools. Schools were closed. The state police came in. There were hate groups that came to Springfield to march and demonstrate and drive up and down the street. Great upset, great fear, and then as everything does, this finally subsided. Today, we are awaiting the end of temporary protective status, which is February the 3rd, 2026, at which point the work permits for many of Springfield Haitians will be pulled. This will echo what happened last August when humanitarian parole was stopped and work permits were pulled. Some of the Haitian immigrants left the community. Others of them managed to survive, moving in with relatives and friends, taking jobs under the table, driving DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, doing things that they could do without a work permit. So now we have never had an ICE and Border Patrol campaign show up in Springfield, although the president and vice president have said that they would come to Springfield as they did early on in Aurora, Colorado, with the Venezuelans. We are waiting now with bated breath for that moment. ICE did do a campaign last week in Columbus, Ohio, which is less than an hour away. It's our state capital. We wondered if they would come straight from there to Springfield. They haven't. So we're now waiting with bated breath for the situation to play out its next chapter. The Springfield's Haitians who have very positive outlook on life are taking this all pretty much in stride. They have been through worse in Haiti and getting from Haiti to the United States than they can imagine the situation would be in Springfield moving forward. Uh, so that's the story of the Haitian migration to Springfield. Uh, Let me now tell you my story. I became I made friends with the Haitian, at this time, they were mostly men that were coming to my church. Would drive them home, would communicate the best I can, although I don't speak French. Then I began to tutor at the Clark County Literacy Coalition. Um, I was tutoring some Springfield natives, but then was asked to tutor a Haitian doctor who was preparing for the American medical exam. Um, we developed a friendship and a tutoring relationship that has now gone on about 3 years. He It was part of a group of 20 Haitian doctors from Springfield, Columbus, Indianapolis, Sydney, Dayton, and some other places who would meet and coach each other in preparing for the American medical exam. They were sponsored by Springfield's hospital and Springfield's health department, who are desperately in need of primary care health professionals, particularly those that are bilingual and trilingual. So at some point, Daniel, who I had been working with, told the rest of the doctors that he found it helpful, the support that I was giving him in learning English, and would I work with the entire group? So we worked together in person for a while, but after the crisis in the fall of 2024, uh, the the doctors were a little afraid to drive into Springfield or to drive from their homes to the library where we were meeting, and we transitioned to Zoom. And that's where we have been conducting our preparation for the medical exam since then. Um, Another way in which I became involved in working with Haitians that I'm proud of is that a group of churches in Springfield organized a family literacy program that met Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Some 24 churches participated in supplying volunteers for this, including evangelical churches. We met in a very large evangelical church, the High Street Church of the Nazarene in Springfield, and I we divided the adults into three competency groups, and I mainly worked with the higher functioning uh, English literacy students. There were also classes for the children. As you might imagine, the children are quickly picking up English and becoming translators for their parents and helping their parents learn English. So I think I've covered the bulk of the Haitian story and my involvement in it. You are muted, Jackie.
How do you think your work contributes to democracy at this point in time when so many experts and just regular voters are concerned about preserving democracy in this country?
Well, I think continuing to be optimistic, continuing to share my optimism, to continue to participate in the democratic system, to vote, to express my opinions, to go to protests. I've been to two in Springfield, two in Dayton, uh, and two in Xenia, which is the county seat of Greene County, where I live. Uh, Democracy lives as people express it. And democracy is one pillar of the values that I try to express in community. The other is Christianity, as I understand it. I think it's important for Christians who understand Jesus's message to be one of love and the Bible's message of welcoming the strangers, uh, to, to express that in the public sphere. Uh, I participate heavily in Springfield civic affairs. I go to church there. I'm a member of the Springfield Rotary Club. I volunteer in several capacities in Springfield and bring, with all the diplomacy I can, the values from my blue island into a red sea, which is Ohio at this point. The Blue Island being my small community of 4,000 people called Yellow Springs, Ohio.